Behold the great and sorrowful mother. Hey Tubies, this is Psychic Bob. Well, I'm sitting here looking at this medal that I've been wearing today. This is known as Our Lady of Sorrows. You can take another look at it here. So we got some glare. And Our Lady of Sorrows is a form of the Virgin Mary, who I actually venerate and love very much. Now, I know some of you are going to say, wait a second, Bob. I thought this was a Wiccan channel or maybe a spiritualist channel. I didn't think it was a Catholic channel. No, we're not a Catholic channel, but Our Lady of Sorrows is greatly loved and honored by many people outside even Catholicism. As a spiritualist, I've always said the spirit guides the saints are our spirit guides, and so you can call upon any of the saints and they'll help you. As a Wiccan, I believe that the Virgin Mary is a form of the Great Mother, the Goddess, and today we're going to talk about her in this form. This is Mary in her form known as, oops, I got some glare here, and known as Our Lady of Sorrows. I hope you guys can see that without too much glare. And Our Lady of Sorrows is very powerful and very mystical. Now, some of you are going to say, well, Psychic Bob, what's that got to do with anything? Well, let me tell you, if you study the history of the Great Mother, of the Goddess, one of the things you'll find is that there are repeating tales, various mythologies around her. And in one of her aspects, she is known as the grieving goddess. Now, don't take my word for it, do some history. If you go back to the ancient Egyptians and you study the life of the goddess Isis, who is also the Great Mother, there's a period in Isis's life where she goes into great sorrow. Her husband Osiris is killed by his brother Set, and Isis searches the world trying to find his body. And many of the ancients used to do rituals where somebody would dress in black veils and seek Osiris. It's part of their mystery plays, part of their spiritual things. In ancient Rome, they used to always have this story of the grieving Isis, and they'd have a priestess dress in black veils. And it's just interesting because later on when Christianity came about, in the mythos of the Christ and Mary, Mary was present through the suffering of her son throughout his whole life, really, and was present at the crucifixion. And this image of Mary is grieving is one that came to touch many people's hearts. Many mothers around the world who have lost a son through war or death in some way often relate to the grieving Mary. Now, lest you think this is morbid, like, oh, we're all depressed all the time, let me tell you that there's a whole nother aspect to this element, this facet of the goddess. In her grieving form, she represents the older, wiser woman. This is the crone mother. And so if you've been wanting to seek ancient wisdom from the crone, but you've not found an aspect of the crone you relate to, you might want to explore Our Lady of Sorrows. She's very venerated all over the Catholic world, but not just in the Catholic world. Many of the Spanish witches honor her as well. In her form as Our Lady of Sorrows, she's considered a great and powerful protector. She will defend you against all manners of evil. She protects against demonic spirits. And she is, in her time of sorrow, also a time of great reflection and great wisdom and power. And so when we honor the grieving mother, we're in touch with an ancient force, an energy that is wiser and older than any of us. And so this is why I love this aspect of the Virgin Mary. In the Catholic world, it's very touching. They have a number of ways that they honor the grieving mother. And one of them is they literally put up pictures like this. And many of the Spanish, particularly in the Spanish-speaking countries and the Latin countries, they feel such a love. They sit every day and console Mary. It's like they'll sit and they'll say, Mary, we pray with you, we know your sorrows. And they actually have an ongoing relationship with Mary in her grieving aspect, and they seek to be consolers of the mother. And it's a beautiful thing because, it's a form of spiritual mercy and kindness when you reach out and help the grieving. Some people are so devoted that they even have other things they do. Like, for example, one of the ways to be devoted to the Great Mother, especially if you're venerating her as Mary, is to wear the black scapular. This is a scapular that was created by the Servites. The Servite order is an order of monks and nuns that are dedicated to be servants of the Virgin Mary in her aspect as the Lady of Sorrows. And this is one of my scapulars. I love scapulars. This is my black scapular, and on the front you can see Mary, and she has her Immaculate Heart. It's pierced with swords. Mary showing her heart pierced with swords is also one of the images that is used in this devotion. And in fact, they have a prayer called the Chaplet of the Seven Sorrows of Mary. In fact, I was going to show it to you. This is another form of the rosary. Now, sometimes it's done with beads. It usually is. This one is made of ropes, knotted cord, but it's still a rosary. And what they do is they have 7 different sorrows that they go through, and they say an Our Father on the big white beads. And then there are 7 sets of beads that follow the white bead, and 7 Hail Marys are set on that. And during each segment around the rosary, you reflect on a mystery. So, for example, the first mystery is the prophecy of Simeon. Now, when Mary was when she just had Jesus, she took him to the temple to be blessed. And a great ancient priest there told her the prophecy that the future, that her son would be a great king, and yet many would suffer. He would suffer many things, and many would come to her seeking solace. And it was the prophecy of the future roles of Jesus and Mary. And it was the day of celebration, but his prophecy of the sorrow to come put a sword in Mary's heart. And he said on that day, a sword shall pierce your soul. And so Mary knew that going forward she would have challenges in life. So that's the first sorrow. Then the second sorrow in Mary's life is the sorrow of the flight to Egypt. That's what it's called. And Jesus and Mary and Joseph had to flee King Herod. They were going to kill Jesus. So she had to leave her home, travel away to a foreign land with nothing but the clothes on her back. That was her second sorrow. Then the third sorrow is when she lost Jesus. There's a story in the Bible. Jesus disappeared and they lost him for like a week. Well, they didn't know where he was, and this is the third sorrow. So Mary had to face the loss of her own child, or at least believing it could be. Then the fourth sorrow is a little later when Jesus is condemned to death and he's on his way to the crucifixion. Mary sees him along the road carrying the cross, and her sorrow is seeing her son going to his death. Then the fourth mystery, or the fifth mystery, is the crucifixion of Christ. Mary was there at the foot of the cross. The sixth mystery is the taking down of the body. Mary realized that it really was the end. She saw them take her lifeless son's body off the cross. And then the seventh mystery is the burial of Jesus. And so these beads, as you go through them, you meditate on those mysteries and you chant the Hail Marys and Our Fathers. And it's said to be a way that it brings you closer to the power of Mary and her role as Our Lady of Sorrows. And I can tell you, personally, as somebody who's been through sorrow in their own life, that, when I look at Mary as the sorrowful mother, it helps me, give me peace and strength, because when I go through sufferings, I know that I'm not alone, that she suffered and experienced it. And so our great ancient mother, the goddess, came amongst us and lived a life and experienced all the pain we did. And so this is a great comfort for me. It's interesting because Mary is, the first or the second mystery on this is the flight into Egypt. Do you guys realize, for those of you who are targeted individuals, Mary and Jesus and Joseph were the targeted individuals of their day. The king literally put out a death decree. People came, raided their house. They had to flee. There was people waiting with a bounty on their heads. Is this not what we of the targeted individuals go through today? I know whenever I'm stalked and harassed and persecuted and injured, that Mary experienced it too. My great mother, the goddess to me, went through the sorrows. So when I pray to her, she knows my sorrows and hears them. So you see, the Great Mother has a lot of power around her. Now, some of you are going to say, well, think about how do I work with the Great Mother? Well, I was actually going to set up a whole altar today, but some of the supplies that I was going to use I haven't got yet, so we're going to have to do an altar another day. But let me tell you, if you want to work with the Great Dark Mother, first of all, take it very seriously, because we're dealing with real people who have real emotions. The goddess is alive, and she does hear us. And so she, even though she's not suffering anymore, she's never forgotten her sorrows, and we should have respect for that. So always, if you work with the Dark Mother, treat it with respect, with power and respect, of the honor her for all that she's gone through. Now, if you wanted to, honor her, you could set up a little simple shrine to her, an altar. And the colors, there's no set style for this, but generally you have a statue or a picture. In this case, I have a picture of Our Lady of Sorrows. Okay, and there's a lot of pictures. This is just one of them. In fact, at the end of the video, I'm going to put some pictures, other pictures of Our Lady of Sorrows. Now, what you can do is have a simple altar cloth. Traditionally, the colors to work with Our Lady of Sorrows is black, purple, or like a dark midnight blue. And also white. So these are the colors that you want to think about incorporating. You could have like a black altar cloth with purple candles or black and dark blue candles. You could have, any sort of combination of colors. You could have flowers on the altar maybe that are, purple or dark blue, or white even. And so these are the things you want to think about. Like setting an altar, traditionally you have a picture, and then you have these cloths and these colors. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll take a cloth and drape it around the edge of the picture so it drapes over it, kind of like a canopy. This is also traditional, so you could do that as well. But, when you work with the Dark Mother, you want to be very reverent. Now, you can also call on her for protection, because this is one of her aspects. Mary, in her role as Our Lady of Sorrows, is actually venerated, besides just Catholicism, she's also venerated in the Spanish brujeria tradition, which is a Spanish witchcraft. She's also venerated in the voodoo tradition from Haiti, and she's also another form of the ancient Dark Mother. In her role as the grieving mother, she's also called the Dark Mother, and that's why she dresses in dark clothes. And the dark robes represent her ancient wisdom and power, her crone aspect. Now, if you wanted to, for example, honor her in her lunar aspect. Her lunar aspect is the dark moon or the waning moon. On the altar that I'm setting up, and you'll see it next week when I have it, I'm going to have a black mirror on there. And so traditional things you could have on the altar would be like the black mirror. Like I've got a round black mirror to represent the dark moon. That would be a correspondence that would work with this devotion. You could also have, the rosary beads on your altar, either in black or purple. On this picture, when it's on my shrine, I actually have, let me show you here, I got a beautiful dark purple rosary that I oftentimes drape here on the frame. And this is like an Aurora Borealis, I can't talk today, rosary. So deep dark purples are very much associated with this aspect of the Great Mother. And so you could have rosaries draped on your picture frames. You could have black cloth around your picture frame. Oops, my light just went out. Hold on. And you see, there's so many things that you could do to honor the Great Mother. It's traditional to have a glass of water on the altar as an offering to her. I like to burn candles, and in fact my new altar that I'm setting up is going to have a lot of candles. I like to burn black candles, but you can also burn white. Black or white are traditional candle offerings for this aspect of Mary as Our Lady of Sorrows. And as I said also earlier, as part of your devotion, you can even wear the black scapular. And I'll put links below to where you can buy the black scapular, or you can also wear a medal, as I showed you earlier. Now, let me show you something on this medal. As you saw, it has the front of Our Lady of Sorrows, and it's very similar to the picture, her bowing and veiled heavily. And on the back of this medal, now not all medals are like this, but this one has this, it's got her heart surrounded by thorns, and it's hard to see here, but it's got swords at the top of the heart, 7 swords. You can't really see it here, but she has 7 swords. So you see, these little offerings, offering a medal, to wear a medal for her in this aspect, is a way of uniting yourself to her energy. And, the worship and the honor of the Dark Mother is not something that, as I said, you should take lightly. It's not for everybody. You might see this and say, Bob, that's too morbid, I'm not interested. That's okay. It takes a special type of person to be able to have this devotion. And I always say, and I'm not the only one, other people say, that the Dark Mother calls her children to her. So if you're feeling called by the Dark Mother, then you're probably being called by her to honor her in this form. And I can tell you that it brings me a lot of peace, a lot of joy, a lot of comfort that I can call upon my goddess, Mother Mary, in this form. Now, I know some Catholics out there are going to say, that's terrible, we don't like that. I'm not here for the Catholics. This is not a Catholic video. It's a Wiccan video. So, I don't want any preaching on this. This is for those of us who understand this version of the Virgin Mary. And so, I welcome you to explore working with Our Lady of Sorrows. She has a few different names. One is Our Lady of Sorrows. She's also called Mater Dolorosa, which is Latin for Mother of Sorrows. She's also called Our Lady of Dolors, which means sorrows. Our Lady of the 7 Swords. A lot of the pictures have swords, 7 swords going into her heart, representing the prophecy of Simeon about a sword would pierce her soul. But whatever you call her, Our Lady of Sorrows is a face of the crone goddess, a face of the Dark Mother. So anyways, guys, I hope this gives you a little insight today. As I said, I wasn't able to set up the altar today. I still need to get some supplies that I was not able to get. As you know, here on the East Coast, we are being frozen to death. It's crazy. It's hard to get anywhere or get anything. But we'll have more on this. But I did promise you today we'd talk a little bit about this. So I'd like you to tell me in the box below, have you ever heard of Our Lady of Sorrows? Maybe you have a great devotion and a love for her. Tell me about that as well. Have you ever prayed to her? Has she ever helped you? She's very sacred to me, and I really feel very powerfully connected to her. And so I invite each of you to explore this mystery, and explore the goddess culture of the Dark Mother, explore Isis's mythology. Also, there's Inanna, who lost her daughter, who went to the underworld. This is also another form of the grieving goddess. There's a lot of different aspects of the goddess in her darker essence. Kali Ma is a form of the Dark Mother. Isis, so many forms. But this one is the more Catholic form, but you don't, again, have to be Catholic. As I said, she's honored in Voodoo and Santeria and Malacamba, South American traditions. So she's in the magical tradition. Also, Spanish Brujeria honor her as the great goddess, the Dark Mother. So anyways, I hope this gives you a little insight today. And I'd love to hear about your experiences of working with the Dark Mother. Tell me in the box below. Maybe you already have a shrine to her. I'd love to hear about it. Maybe you're excited and going to set up a shrine. Tell me about that. So anyways, I hope this gives you insight. And look up and research Our Lady of Sorrows. This will give you so many blessings. And You know, as I said, if you're called to it, you're called to it, and you'll know. Thank you guys for being here. I love each of you. I am so thankful. Thanks for being here. Listen, keep me, tell me in the box below, you know, answer my questions about the Dark Mother. And if you want to help me out, like this video, favorite it, share it with your friends, and make sure to hit subscribe, be part of our channel. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't see yesterday's video, we did have messages from the spirit world. And I want you guys to go over and see that if you didn't see it. So we've had a good week here at Spirit Channel. Also, pop over to my website. I've got books if you want to work on your spiritual life. This is my book. Psyche Bob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom. We got messages from Rose. We've got Ouija Mysteries, the Spirit Board Seances. All of these at my website. I'll put the links to all of this in the info box below. You guys are best. I love you. I'm sending you blessings. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. What's Thursday? Vlog Thursday. Oh, we'll have an adventure. We'll see you then. I love you guys. Until then, may you always blessed be.